You're listening to the Bird Dog Babe podcast with my mom, Courtney Bastion.
This podcast is sponsored by Purina Pro Plan, Boss Shotshells, and Onyx Hunt.
But it felt so empowering to say, okay, I can be a woman dog trainer in a male-dominated sport, and I can be a woman hunter, and I'm not alone, that there's all these other amazing women that came from all over the country, from Alaska to Tennessee and Illinois and everywhere in between, and just growing that confidence in myself and in growing and having that confidence builds in my dog and in the things that we were doing with her. Because we had no clue what we were doing. We were learning so much along the way and just getting so much positive feedback and just different tips. So yeah, just tons of confidence in myself and then confidence in Sage.
We just held HerUpland Grouse Camp this past weekend, and my heart is incredibly full. We had a great group of women and youth participants and the varsity team of instructors, helpers, and mentors. This mission with HerUpland is my passion project, one that continues to grow a community of women and youth that are competent, confident, and conscientious individuals that really get after it with their bird dogs. I can't thank all of the amazing people that put in the time and efforts to make this such an impactful event. Field mentors Deb Hinton, Chloe Nostrand, Rachel Willard, and Katie Willis. Andrew Willard of Onyx Hunt not only provided an outstanding presentation on utilizing Onyx to scout and hunt, but also stepped in as an additional field mentor. Jan Persia and Caitlin Mann, who spent the majority of time in the kitchen providing delicious hot meals all day. Tracy Wright of Dark Horse Shooting for being a first-class shooting instructor. Ashley Peters from Rough Grouse Society for talking to us about ethics and conservation. Lee Chose of Boss Shotshells taught us about patterning our shotguns with different chokes. Hannah Leonard of Sporting Lead Free, Liz Bradley and Sergeant Dan of Montana FWP discussing grouse biology and the Montana rules and regulations of upland hunting. Amber Kornack on bear awareness, and Dr. Meg from On Point Veterinary Services for presenting on bird dog first aid in the field. To find out more about the 2023 HerUpland events, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter and be one of the first in the know. Go to herupland.com. Thank you to our sponsor, Purina Pro Plan. William and I each kept 3 puppies for our personal strings this year. Yeah, I know, it sounds crazy, but we had 3 outstanding litters this year and could have kept even more because there was so much potential. We are going through Purina Pro Plan Large Breed Puppy like it's going out of style. No joke. The Large Breed Puppy formula contains glucosamine to support developing joints and cartilage. It has DHA for the omega-rich fish oil, which nourishes the brain and vision development, antioxidants to support the puppy's developing immune system, and omega-6 fatty acids and vitamins to nourish skin and coat. I keep all of my puppies on this formula until they are 12 months old. Go to PurinaProPlan.com to find out more. We had the pleasure of having Lee Chose of Boss Shotshells attend our HerUpland Grouse Camp. Lee was fully invested in helping our participants understand the importance of patterning their shotguns and understanding what their shot looks like on paper before they headed out for mountain grouse. He was joined by Hannah Leonard of Sporting Lead Free for an additional presentation on shooting lead-free ammunition and shared the effects that lead has on our environment, the birds, and the food that we put on the table for our family. If you haven't switched to non-tox ammunition, please consider it. And choose Boss Shotshells, copper-plated bismuth, shipped direct to consumer. Go to bossshotshells.com. Onyx Hunt, the most important and effective tool for safety, navigation, scouting, and locating ideal upland habitat. Go confidently on your next solo hunt with Onyx Hunt. Use promo code BDB20 to get 20% off your purchase of an Onyx membership and reap the rewards and discounts with several hunting industry leaders with an elite membership. Go to onyxmaps.com. Thank you to the partners of this podcast, Siren Shotguns and Dakota 283 Kennels. Siren is the only company that offers an entire line of shotguns for women. Go to sirenusa.com. Dakota 283 kennels are built to last with a rotomold frame, a built-in handle for easy load in and out of your vehicle, slam door with lock and drain holes in the back for easy cleaning. Use promo code BIRDDOGBABE for 10% off your purchase at dakota283.com. My guest today is Rachel Willard. Rachel lives just south of Missoula, Montana, and works as a physical therapist. She and her husband Andrew rely on wild game meat to fill their freezer and feast on year-round. This year they acquired 2 bearded baby bird dogs, and their active lifestyle has led them to become active volunteers for their local NAVHDA chapter and avid upland hunters. Rachel shares her story of getting into big game and upland hunting, the love of beards, the learning adventure that comes with bird dogs. Rachel and Andrew have become very dear friends of ours, and we absolutely love and cherish every moment we spend with them. Both stepped up to the plate as mentors this past weekend at HerUpland Grouse Camp and did an amazing job. Enjoy this episode and hearing from an amazing, beautiful person inside and out that Mrs. Rachel Willard is. All right, let's get after it. And I like this because we're sitting here face to face. This makes a big difference for me. And we have a
margarita and a pitcher to go.
Margaritas.
Yes. And these super fancy HerUpland drink cups.
Aren't they nice?
Those are so sweet.
Coming soon to a HerUpland event near you.
Ooh, yes.
Cheers, Rachel.
Cheers.
Oh, I love having you here.
Thanks, Courtney. Thanks for having me.
I don't think I've ever asked you before, but did you grow up hunting at all?
So I did not.
Okay.
No, I didn't grow up hunting. My greater family does, like my grandpa and my uncle and a lot of my mom's family did. But I didn't. I grew up in the city, kind of a city girl with a country girl heart, but didn't grow up hunting. Was exposed to it and fine with it, but not something I personally ever did. So it wasn't until, Andrew, my husband, grew up hunting, and his parents and, not mom, but dad and brothers all hunted a lot.
And grandma.
And grandma. She doesn't hunt, but she's a crazy, awesome fly fisher.
That's right,
lady.
fly fishing.
Yeah, she's 93 and slays it on the river still. She's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, so then Andrew, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, he and his brother had been wanting to get into hunting more. Like, they grew up hunting, and then as they got older, they would maybe go on 1 deer hunt a year. But they both expressed the desire to hunt more. Mm-hmm. So my sister-in-law and I were like, well, shoot, we're not going to be hunters' widows. We're going to come hunting with you guys. So we took Hunter's Ed together.
Awesome.
And we have the same exact gun. For rifle is what we really were mostly doing then, big game hunting.
How old were you when you got your license then?
Probably 25. 25. So I think I've had 4 hunting seasons so far. Mostly big game, and yeah, it's been fun.
So tell me about your big game hunting. Have you had success?
Yeah, lots of antlerless whitetail is mostly what we go after. So Andrew was huge in teaching me how to hunt and practicing. And then my uncle, my mom's brother, is a really avid hunter and really experienced. And he lives in western Nebraska. Okay. And so they spend a lot of time hunting and fishing and have access to a lot of private land. Okay. And so I called up Uncle Bob, and I said, hey, Bob. And he said, hey, Rachel, I didn't even know you had my phone number. I didn't know I had your phone number. And I said, hey, do you think you could take me deer hunting? And he hemmed and hawed and said, well, maybe. And I said, I really just want to get a doe. And he said, oh, yeah, well, in that case, we could definitely get you a doe. They protect the bucks a little bit more. Okay. But everyone's happy to get rid of does. So we palled out to western Nebraska and got to go shoot a big, nice, actually a mule deer doe at that time.
Cool.
Which was super fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the only doe of that season, and I think I've had 1 or 2 does every year since then. Always, actually, technically one was a little buck. Probably 6 months old little Bambi.
Yeah. But was it delicious?
So delicious. Yeah, Andrew had shot a big bull that year.
Okay.
So we didn't need meat. Mm-hmm. We were just out looking for practice and experience. And
nice.
Came across this group of 4 what we thought were decent-sized whitetail. Yeah. And ended up going after the biggest of the 4. Got over to him after I shot and ended up being this itty-bitty little buck. Not even antlers on his head, of course, hence the antlerless license. But But
Oh,
yes, that's
cool.
been fun.
Yeah. Like, how has your family responded to that? Is it like, wow, Rachel, I had no idea? Or are they just like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get a little bit of that, and then a lot of like, well, this just makes so much sense because I've loved the outdoors and I've loved animals and I've loved just everything about nature. So yeah, they've been really encouraging and just excited that I've gotten to connect so much with my extended family through it, which has been really cool. Like my uncle and that side of the family, I didn't really connect with all that well. And we spent a lot of time together since then, which has been really fun.
that is cool.
So yeah, so they weren't that surprised. I've
That
always
is
been
cool.
kind of rather have dirt under my fingernails than paint. So
I get the impression that like you're not too fearless of much of anything.
yeah, not so much. Maybe spiders.
Spiders?
will freak me out.
Okay.
But besides that, I'm creepy crawlies will get me. But
Yeah, when Andrew was saying like, oh yeah, like one night she came over and she had just been digging in cadavers and like
Right.
formaldehyde. I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
she gets after
Yep,
it.
yep. Yeah, it was fun because even before I had hunted myself, my sister-in-law and I helped our husbands, Andrew and his brother, we had helped them process their game.
Okay.
So they came over to our kitchen. I should win Wife of the Year. Inside my kitchen, it looked like a murder scene in there because we had paint tarps all over the place and this big cooler full of all these deer parts
Yeah.
that we pulled out giant quarters. And that was my first experience. I was like, okay, I had dissected cadavers by that point, but I was like, okay,
right.
how will I do with, a little bit fresher meat or
Warm.
not warm? They had been they were
Okay.
in coolers and had
Okay.
already been field dressed, so just quarters and
Okay.
spines and things. And I was like, oh my gosh, this anatomy is incredible. Like, oh, Andrew, if this muscle was on a human, it'd be called infraspinatus. And he was like, whoa, 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 Rachel, like, stop right there. I don't want to hear any more about humans. But yeah, so it's super interesting. Not
That's
sure
cool.
if this will gross you out, but the skills I gathered doing all the cadaver dissection translate into really good field processing of animals.
I bet.
There's a ton of similarity just in how we're all designed as mammals. And,
Right.
so I actually really enjoy it.
That's
Until
really
you do an
interesting.
800-pound elk, and it takes 16 hours, and then you really hate it a lot. That was
That's
a
how long it
weekend.
takes?
When Andrew and I did his elk together, it took 2 probably 8-hour days.
Wow.
Because we're pretty fussy.
That's intense.
Um,
So what makes you fussy? Like, because obviously I've never done this before.
yeah.
So, like, what do you think that you do that maybe others don't put that much precision into it?
Oh, I'm not sure about others.
Okay.
But we care a lot about getting all the meat we can from the animal.
Okay.
So we don't want anything to go to waste. So some people I've seen process, like some of my uncle's kind of redneck friends in
Sure.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
They would take off a lot of the meat, but maybe leave some on the bones that it was too much effort to get off, or a lot of the farther you get towards the distal limb, I don't know what the non-PT word would be, towards the hoof, there's a lot more tendons and a lot more silver skin or fascia. So it takes time to get that out,
Okay.
or you can grind it up and eat it. And so I think a lot of people actually throw away a lot of the less desirable cuts of meat,
Sure.
like from the elbow down, sort of an idea.
Okay.
And so we take a lot of time to get all of that. Like we get all the neck meat and all the in between the ribs if we can, and we just
And you'll
value
grind
the
that
meat.
up?
Yeah, we'll grind it all
Okay.
up. Yeah, so we usually save because it's so easy to cook ground meat.
Yeah.
So we usually save a lot of them for roast and things off of the rear hindquarters because that's where the best cuts come. And then tenderloins or back straps. I will admit we've even ground up those before.
Really?
Yeah.
And isn't that like the best part?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we don't we don't eat steak that much because I do most of the cooking and I don't know how to cook steak.
Okay.
And so it's so easy when it's ground up to make it into anything you would use ground beef for. But yeah, so we grind almost everything.
That's
And
awesome.
so we just value the meat. We don't buy meat from the grocery store at all, except for bacon, if we're going to wrap something in bacon.
Okay.
And maybe once or twice a year shrimp, just because it's delicious.
Yeah.
But even fish, we'll go fishing.
I was going to
or-
say, because you guys fish a lot too, don't
yeah,
you?
we'll fish.
Yeah.
Not as much as Grandma would like.
Okay.
We got scolded for not fishing enough. Because now we have all these bird dogs and spend a lot of time with our puppies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's why we're fussy, is because we care about getting the meat to be as good as we can, cleaning off all that silver skin,
Yeah.
which takes time. We're probably not the best at it, so that takes longer. And then we eat nothing but elk and venison and goose and wild birds as much as we can, which is amazing when all you eat is red meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is maybe like one of the most bizarre things that you eat? Like some eat the tongue. Like, do you eat the tongue?
I've had cow tongue. I've never
Okay.
had wild game tongue.
Okay.
We've kept heart and liver, haven't cooked them yet.
Okay.
We have a 2-year-old liver in the freezer right now, has not been cooked. Andrew claims he wants to cook it someday. What's the most bizarre? We did eat the heart and liver out of a turkey once.
Okay.
So that was kind of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I watch a lot of meat eaters, so they're all about eating the heart.
Right.
So
yeah, we haven't done that yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we have planned on it. It's in the freezer.
Yeah.
We've saved them. We just haven't cooked them yet.
I do want to try it just
Well,
to
when we
see.
cook it, we'll have you guys over.
Well, I don't
and-
really know if I'm going to sign up.
That's fair.
Well, maybe after a margarita or two, I might.
Deal. We'll fix you up some margaritas. We'll have heart appetizers.
Okay.
So I have had heart before
Okay.
in Peru, not bison, cow heart, and it's delicious because it's just a muscle, just like tongue is a muscle.
Right.
When you get to intestines and stomach, I had that in Peru as well, and it's just
Really?
Yeah, it's not. I didn't like it.
I mean, that's the digestive system.
Exactly.
So don't you want to stay away from that?
I would, yes.
Okay.
I agree with staying away from
Okay.
that. But they loved it, so
Yeah.
I think it might be an acquired taste.
Yeah.
but-
And you guys gave us some of your bear meat from
Yeah.
Andrew's harvest this season, and that was delicious.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah.
Everyone had said, "Oh my goodness, bear is so greasy." And Andrew, there were 3 bears that the 3 guys each harvested a bear on that trip, and the other guys didn't want their bear. So we brought home 3 bear. Andrew brought home 3 bears. And I was a little grumbly because it takes a long time to process.
for
And
sure.
I said, Andrew, next time don't take their bear meat. I don't want to do this much work because I hadn't tried it. I was like,
Yeah.
what if we go to all this time and effort and money that goes into the materials that we process it with? And then we cooked some up in the Instant Pot and we ate it. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then we smoked a whole quarter, which was phenomenal. Yeah. Kind of like a cross between a honey baked ham and a beef roasted something, smoked beef of some sort. Yeah. Taco meat's phenomenal.
It was
I had bear
surprisingly
for
good.
lunch today. It's so good.
Yeah. So
At
that's
least
what you
these
guys
bears.
just mainly eat is your wild game.
Yep, at home we eat 100% wild game.
I love
So
it.
if somebody comes over to our house for dinner,
Know
eat
that
wild
that's what
game.
you're going to get.
I have also given away wild game in meals I've prepared for other people and not told them
Yeah.
on several occasions.
Yeah.
And nobody knows. Nobody says a thing. I gave some chucker soup to a neighbor when they were sick.
Oh, nice.
They had no idea it wasn't.
And they said it was amazing.
They loved it. They
Yeah.
thought it was chicken noodle soup.
Yeah.
It was chucker pheasant chicken noodle soup.
Was it?
It was
And
really
I bet
good.
it was delicious.
It was really good.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
That's awesome.
But,
What about upland hunting? When was the first time that you've gone and done that? Did you walk with for a while, or were you like right away, you're like, yep, I'm going to go?
Yeah, so
Go bird
I
hunting.
didn't walk with.
Okay.
That we started upland hunting. Andrew grew up upland hunting, mostly pheasants, maybe some quail as well.
Okay.
And so his parents have a little cabin kind of in south central Nebraska, and his dad has made relationships with a lot of the farmers in that area. And so we went out with his family for a pheasant hunt. And this was probably, I don't know if it was 2 years ago. I want to say it was about 2 years ago. So I haven't been upland hunting very long at all.
Okay.
And I didn't have a shotgun, so borrowed one from a friend's kid. One of our friends from church had a 13 or 14-year-old daughter, and he said, "Oh, I have a gun. Maybe it'll fit you." Took it. I had never shot a gun before, or never shot a shotgun before.
Yeah.
I'd shot rifles and handguns. And so we said, all right, well, Rachel, let's try to, get you to shoot a clay pigeon before we go and look for birds. So we go out to this field and toss a clay pigeon, and I, bang, miss. Okay, we'll toss another one, bang, miss. Toss another one, bang, and I'm like, okay, I this is frustrating. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I said, can I try to hit something that's not moving before I hit something moving? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So we put a clay pigeon on a bale of hay, just a hay field out in the hay field.
Yep.
And I go, bang, miss. And I was like, okay, what is going wrong? So I didn't have a clue how to line up the shotgun. Mm-hmm. And the boys hadn't told me, which I don't blame them.
Mm-hmm.
But so finally we figured that out. And I still don't think I hit one moving, but I at least had shot the gun.
Yeah.
So we went walking up and down some kind of shelter belts between some agricultural fields. And I think we flushed maybe a pheasant or two. We didn't have bird dogs. We were hunting. This was my husband, Andrew, his brother, and then myself and my sister-in-law.
Fun.
And so my sister-in-law and I flushed a bird. We were hunting with a husky and our Australian Shepherd mutt dog.
Awesome.
And they were just along for the ride.
They were just having a good time, right?
Yeah, they were another body pushing birds. And so I did fire a shot at the bird. I think I was, in retrospect, really far behind it. I didn't lead at all. Yeah. But we had a lot of fun. And so I think we hunted just a little bit there. And I don't remember, it wasn't on that trip that I shot my first pheasant. It was either later that year or the next season. I don't remember. Okay. And that was really exciting. My little mutt dog was with me then.
Aww.
And he was no help at all. In fact,
he wasn't gun shy though?
He wasn't gun shy. No, we had desensitized him.
Yeah.
So we would clap 2x4s while he was eating his food. And
yeah.
Then we took him to the woods one day while we were shooting the handgun. And I stayed probably 100 yards away with him. And every time Andrew shot, I gave him a treat. Shoot, treat, shoot, treat. And we just gradually got closer. And then we went squirrel hunting was actually the purpose of that day. Yeah. And, that's probably the strangest thing I've eaten.
The squirrel.
Is squirrel.
How did you prepare it?
The boys made squirrel biscuits and gravy.
Uh-huh.
It was out of the Meat Eater, one of the Stephen Ranelli Meat Eater cookbooks.
Yes.
And it was really good. They slow roasted the squirrel with bourbon and apples and onions, and it was really good, but there was that psychological piece of, I'm eating a squirrel. Yeah. So that made it less interesting.
That's what I get stuck in a lot, is the head part of it. I know what I'm eating.
Yeah. Although we had rabbit last year. Andrew shot this beautiful rabbit around Thanksgiving, and it was really good. It tasted like beef, actually. Strangely.
Yeah. So how did you prepare that? Because we have some rabbit.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we made rabbit, chicken, and dumplings. Okay. Mine's the chicken. So rabbit and dumplings.
Like in a soup.
In a soup. Yep. And so we had dumplings. I think we put biscuits on top of that. This thick gravy stew mixture. We had slow roasted the rabbit in the Instant Pot prior to that. It was really good.
It was really good.
It was really good. I texted a picture to my parents. And said, hey, oh my gosh, look at this rabbit. Isn't it beautiful? Here's how we cooked it. And my dad said, we're eating out every night when we come to visit. So I will not be being fed rabbit knowingly or unknowingly. I said, oh, Dad, you're missing out. It's so good.
My mom's the same way. She's actually coming to visit next week, and she doesn't trust anything we make. So she stands in the kitchen, and she's like, can we, she likes to see it, in wrap. Wrap from the grocery store.
Will she eat any wild game?
No. Yeah, I've made some birds for her, and she's tried it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I like it." But I'm like, "You don't really like it."
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it's that same thing. She's surprised that she doesn't like it. It's probably like, well, I just know what it is, and it is.
Yeah,
yeah.
Just don't tell her. But she knows your tricks.
She does.
She would know the tricks.
Absolutely, she does. But I blame that of why I'm such a picky eater and scared to try things, because we just. It's how you're raised in that mentality.
For sure.
But I do try. I do eat a lot more green things than I used to in the past.
That's good. So. Well, green things are so-so. But meat, we can eat all the crazy meats.
Yeah.
But
I want to try more crazy meats.
Okay. Yeah. Next time we shoot some crazy meats.
Yeah. I need to shoot some crazy meat this year.
Yep.
I can do it.
Like a rabbit?
Well... even if I shoot a deer, I think that's a crazy meat for me.
Yeah. Have you done any big game hunting?
No.
No, not at all.
Nope, I haven't.
Yeah.
So, but I'm ready to. It's just every time I'm like, oh, I want to go do this, I really want to just grab my dogs.
For sure.
And do that instead.
Yeah,
so
I can relate.
It's not that I don't want to do it. I just really love being with my dogs.
Absolutely.
So it's tough.
I can relate to that. Because we've talked a lot about archery. Like the thrill of the calling in a bull, or, because you get so close and intimate during archery hunting. I think we would love it. But whenever anybody asks, like, hey, are you going to archery hunt? I say, no, we're going to be hunting birds, and then enough big game to fill the freezer.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get an elk, because that would do the trick, and maybe a deer or two. And then birds, because the dogs are so fun.
It is so fun.
And you can't leave them home.
Right. So let's talk about the dogs.
Let's talk about dogs. That's why we're here in the first place.
Let's talk about the dogs. So when did you guys finally decide that we like upland hunting so much we want to get a bird dog now?
Yeah, so a lot of the challenge initially with the bird dog was that we'd have to get a puppy. And our work schedules pre-COVID wouldn't allow that to do it well, because we both worked outside the home. And me, especially as a physical therapist, I don't have the flexibility to come home enough to take care of a puppy. And Andrew at the time, his job really wasn't work from home friendly. He's in the business world, but wasn't work from home friendly. And so then we lost our mutt dog. He passed away. And then COVID happened, or in some order. Maybe COVID happened first, but regardless, we moved to Montana, and then because of COVID, then the world has become so work from home friendly. So we were in need of a dog, still had dog fever, of course, and now we could actually get a puppy. And so the first dog was our mutt, which was our rescue, and because he was an adult, we were able to manage him at home with both working. And so we said, all right, I think it's time to get a puppy. And a bird dog, of course, is what we'd get, since Andrew had really wanted a bird dog.
Yeah.
And I was getting on board, but didn't quite fully understand how much less successful you would be hunting birds without bird dogs. So I was ready to dive in and went down the puppy journey.
Yay.
Yes.
Did Andrew grow up with bird dogs?
He did.
He did.
Yeah.
What
So
breeds did he have?
mostly English setters.
Okay, cool.
Yep, so English setters is what he primarily grew up with. His parents now have French Brittany's.
Okay.
And they're fun little dogs, too.
They are fun little dogs.
Yeah.
So why the poodle pointer?
Yeah, so the mutt that we'd had was a big, fluffy, white, hairy Australian Shepherd mix who somehow snuck his way onto the very soft navy blue couch in our house. And he probably spent 20 hours of the day and night on this navy blue couch. And so we had lost him. It had been over a year. And I was finding this dog's hair in my house, even when we had moved from Colorado to Montana, and this dog didn't live in the house, or in the new house. So I was curious if it would be possible for there to exist such a thing as a bird dog that didn't shed as much. So that's how my search began, was hunting dogs that don't shed.
Yeah.
And the first thing, of course, that pops up is this lovely, squirrely-looking poodle pointer. And so I thought, well, that's kind of cool. And Andrew had actually seen an article about poodle pointers in the Gun Dog magazine probably a couple weeks prior. So it was 2 pings on the radar.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, this is cool. I think I was at work one day and didn't actually have a lot going on. And so I started researching poodle pointers. And the more I learned about them, they just fit the bill for everything, because we enjoy upland hunting and waterfowl, and love the idea of this on and off switch that the poodle pointers and a lot of the other versatiles are supposed to have.
Yes.
You have to build it into them and work out the energy. We just learned poodle pointers are just amazing family dogs and really affectionate. And just, the more we researched, we felt like, okay, I said, Andrew, if we're going to get a bird dog, I want a poodle pointer. And we said, all right, let's see about getting one.
Yeah, so how did you decide on the breeder that you decided on?
Yeah, that was quite a journey. So we just started searching breeders in the area. We didn't want to go to Tennessee to get a dog or somewhere far away. And just started researching different breeders, and different websites popped up, and there were several in the area. There's like Windy Sage and Billings, and then Cedar Woods and Boise, and a couple others around. And so we just read on their websites, and Andrew said, well, if we're going to get a poodle pointer, I want to get one of the best. So we found, I think it's pronounced NAPA, I'm not actually sure, but the North American Poodle Pointer Alliance.
Yeah.
And researched them, and they had lists of test scores, and we found NAVHDA and lists of test scores. And if you filtered by poodle pointers, Cedar Woods came up a lot. Yeah. Cedar Woods, Killbuck, Cedar Woods, Windy Sage, Cedar Woods. Yeah. So Andrew says, Rachel, I want a Cedar Woods dog. And I said, okay, well, let's send him an email. So we send this generic email off that I'm sure the guy gets, 1,000 of the same email every day. Yeah. And the subject was interest in poodle pointer puppy. And said, hey, we want a puppy. What's your waitlist like? And we get back this very copy and pasted email. Very long, very strange colors and shapes and fonts, and with these 5 attachments at the bottom that are each like 47 pages long. And it says, hey guys, thanks for your interest. I don't have any litters on the floor right now. Reach back out in January and we'll chat then. Okay. And this was in August of 2021. And so we're like, all right, well, let's read over this information. So we go on this scavenger hunt through all this information about poodle pointers and NAVHDA and testing dogs and training dogs. And finally on page 26 of the 4th document, it says, if you want to be on the wait list, here, send me this information. So Andrew and I look at each other and we're like, well, shoot, let's send him the information. And so we send him that information and finally reach out and have a phone call with him as well. And he says, yeah, guys, well, I have you on the wait list, but I just want to let you know at any given time, there's, 90 to 150 people on my wait list. And he says, but I don't do my wait list based on how long you've been waiting. I do my wait list based on how much I think you want one of my dogs and would be a good owner and match for my dogs. And so we went on this probably 6-month quest to be the most assertive of how much we want one of his dogs. So I think we called him about once a month, sent an email at least every other week, if not more than that, sending pictures of us with grouse saying, there's only one thing missing, we just need a dog in this grouse picture. And so even then, Andrew said, Rachel, I'll be so disappointed if we don't get a dog. We should probably reach out to others. And it was right around that time that we got an email from Bob Ferris of Cedarwoods Kennels in Boise that was very short, very succinct, and it said, hi, Rachel and Andrew, just want to let you know I put you on the litter list for this litter. So we're like, what's a litter list? Are we one of 50? And so we called him then later that week, and we were one of 6, I think, that had made this litter list for this litter. And
wow.
So we were floored. We were elated and floored and so excited. And so we got to follow along as Sage was conceived. And then we knew about when she'd be born, and we heard shortly after that. We saw pictures weekly of her, of the puppies. We didn't know which one was ours at that point. And we were just so excited, so thrilled to have gotten her.
And you guys, I know I've said this to you a lot of times, but you guys, this poodle pointer that you have, stunning. Stunning. The first, I think Andrew, as soon as you guys left the house and had her in the, in your car, he sent me a photo. I'm like, oh my God. Her coat is so fantastic.
Yes.
Which doesn't come easy for the breed.
Totally.
And so when you see ones that have that, it's just really, really nice. She had a perfect amount of facial hair, and the body coat was tight, and oh my gosh.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
I adore her.
Thank you. We do as well. We feel really fortunate because a lot of them are so squirrely. Andrew says a lot of them look like cancer survivor patients that have just regrowing some chemo hair. And some of them do. Yeah. I have to say, Courtney, you're on an amazing mission to save the world of squirrely poodle pointers. One truck top grooming session at a time.
That poor guy.
Pulling gobs of hair.
Yeah, Joel, if you're listening and you tell me that you do listen, I'm so sorry. I just ripped the hair out of your dog right before you got the scores of your test the other day because I'm like, oh, you probably would have liked to have a photo with the judge.
You said, well, just make her sit down.
Yeah, but she had such a great coat underneath all that dead hair, right? Did you see that? It's
so
my
gosh. Yeah, she was gorgeous. But
but it's one of those things. And even when you guys came over for the first time, I was like, okay, so this is what you do. Just start pulling all this hair and maintain this because she's got a great foundation of a coat here. Some people are neurotic over coats. Yeah, wire hair coats.
But it's so worth it because I feel like for Sage, it's a combination of good genetics, great food, and then really good you training us how to take care of her coat. And we love it. It's so addictive. Yeah. With that charcoal brush, when you're scraping away and you see the gobs of hair that didn't come out with any other brush or tool.
Isn't it nice?
It's so satisfying. So if I get her tired and give her a bone, I'll sit there for half an hour just pulling the hair out of her, and it's so
they love
satisfying.
It too.
She does.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, they love it.
She also likes to eat the charcoal thing, and it makes awful sounds. But
that is the worst sound. She did that the other day, and I was like, oh, that's worse than nails in a chalkboard.
Oh, it is worse. It's horrible. But so we're appreciative for you helping us take good care of our poodle pointer.
Oh, good. I'm glad I could
She's
assist.
Stunning. I was worried at first that it was just ugly baby syndrome, that every mom thinks their own baby's so cute, even though they're not all babies are cute. Right. But lots of people have told us she's really a good-looking dog.
She's a very good-looking dog.
Nobody knows what she is, but everyone thinks she's very beautiful.
What do people think that she is?
So now that we have the second one that's not a poodle pointer, when they see the pair of them together, they think they're Drothars.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So somebody else said she could look like a Drothar.
She's got that coat.
She's got the coat. So and then this big, fluffy, bearded face.
Big, beautiful head.
Yeah.
Testing her. So was that a requirement of Bob that she be natural ability tested, or that you did any of that?
Not at all.
Okay.
No, so it wasn't a requirement, and we didn't really know that was even a thing. And it wasn't until we started getting into NAVHDA that we became exposed to the testing world. And initially we kind of hemmed and hawed, should we test her, should we not? And actually, after our second time that we brought her up here to see you and William, William was like, well, I don't know if you should test her. It was the day that she did not use her nose. She was 11 weeks old. Mm-hmm. We were trying to get her to smell a pigeon in a launcher because she was visually stimulated by pigeons, but had no nose at all, just absolutely none. So we had her walking around really close to this little pigeon in the launcher, and she was not interested at all. And so finally, I was on one side, and then William was directly across from her, and the pigeon was right in between William and Sage, and he called her to him, so she ran to him and ran right over top and fell over the pigeon launcher. And so he actually, I remember, Courtney, he was like, well, Rachel, I don't know if you guys should test her. And she just was
Did you think he meant ever, or like anytime this year?
I think he might have meant anytime this year. But yeah, he asked, he said, well, are you...
she's 11 weeks old.
Right, well... He's like, well, are you required to test her? No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys need to or not. It's up to you. And so we came to the NAUT handlers clinic that you guys put on. Mm-hmm. And that was our first exposure to any of the testing. That was our first NAVHDA event, period. First training, anything.
Yeah.
And we were just like, wow, this is amazing. So I obviously didn't grow up hunting or training hunting dogs, but I grew up loving dogs. Mm-hmm. My favorite show growing up as a kid was on Animal Planet called Breed All About It.
Yes.
And it was just dog breed, and you learned about it, and they give little bones for their coat and their disposition and their child friendliness and trainability. And I've always loved the idea of working dogs and training dogs for a purpose. So our Aussie mutt, I trained him very amateurly, but for agility, just because I loved it, just because I bought this little Amazon set of agility things and threw it in the backyard and never had formal training, never competed.
You didn't compete, you just did it for fun.
Just for fun. We weren't very good, but we had fun.
Yeah.
And so this testing world, our eyes opened to that. We're like, this is really fun, because it kind of fulfilled in me that dog training and I'll say showing, right? The showing side of things that I had always yearned for as a kid. I never had the opportunity to actually fulfill. And so Andrew and I talked, and we were very fortunate to even get signed up for a test because we were so late to the ballpark on everything. The Sharptail NAVHDA chapter, only by word of mouth, had we had heard that they would be opening up a test. And so as time went forward, I don't remember even when we signed up for it, but we were very wishy-washy. Because we felt like Sage was a dud.
Yeah, but she went from, like, I don't want to even say, like, zero, because there wasn't, but, like, she went from, like a low and, like, peaked.
Oh, totally.
Like, don't you feel like it was almost, like, overnight?
Oh, my gosh. From one week to the next week, over the course of about a month, it was just switches were flipping left and right, just nonstop in her. Right. Developing drive and developing a nose and developing pointing, and so I was having so much fun. I was the one really pushing to, like, hey, let's test her, and Andrew was supportive as well, and so we got signed up for the Sharptail test, and then we were like, okay, what in the world do we do next? So what is our training plan going to be?
But I mean, you guys, like, you're super keen and with all the dog training stuff. I mean, even when you were just describing earlier with your previous dog and getting it used to the shooting, to know to stand away and then come that's not, that's just not like kind of a typical thing that people just don't know anything about dogs and just do something like that. So you're really keen on understanding and being able to read the dog. So that's really helpful. But I just think Sage went from overnight to, I mean, there's a while where, like, you guys were like, oh, she's not really super excited to swim. And now look at her.
Oh, my gosh. She's a maniac. Yeah. Everything that we said, oh, she's not that excited about birds. She's a psychopath. Oh, she doesn't like the water. She doesn't like bumpers. She has grown in phenomenal ways. It's been really cool. But thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. And
no, you guys do great.
Definitely love dogs.
But I mean, look at that. When you say she was 11 weeks, and then you tested her when she was 5 months?
No, 6.5.
6.5.
No, wait, right at 6.
6 months.
6 months exactly. Yeah, 6 months exactly.
So that's a really short time to learn a lot of things.
Yeah,
to turn it on.
Definitely encouraging to share with others. Like we've met others. We have another friend that has a little Weimaraner puppy who's 4.5 or 5 months old, and just encouraging her, like, he's showing great potential already, and they develop at different paces, and sometimes it's one day, and different dogs will develop at different rates, but those switches can flip in a big hurry.
And I think that's just so important to remember, is that they all develop at different stages, and because people, like, I mean, just today I posted a video with hash browns pointing, that the video you took, actually. Yeah. And then someone's like, oh, how old is he? And he's pointing already? Like, oh, like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They're all different ages. Yeah. Don't compare.
Should have seen the other 5 dogs.
Right, you should have seen Wade Wilson.
Right, Wade Wilson. He's a lover.
Yes, who the trainer loves the best out of all of them. And he just literally stepped on a bird and was like, I still don't think he even knew he stepped on it.
No, he didn't. He was not clued in at all. Yeah. And a lot of them just charged up and grabbed him, because the birds weren't very fleshy. Yeah. Our little baby charged in and grabbed it, and then hid under 2 trucks, playing truck keep away for about 20 minutes. It felt like 20 minutes of crawling on my tummy, trying to get the dog out who's mauling this bird.
Another one did that too. One of my puppies did that too.
I think Effie maybe was playing keep away.
Stinkers.
So
let's talk about your test. So you had first gone to the demonstration, like the natural ability demonstration, and then had you ever volunteered at a natural ability test to really know how the whole situation would play out?
Not until the day of her test.
Okay.
And so we volunteered at her test, and I was so fortunate with how that had played out that I volunteered. Andrew and I both helped out on Saturday.
The day before you tested.
And she tested on Sunday.
Okay.
So that timing was awesome. But so we had been to the handler's clinic, and then we had listened to, on your Patreon account, there was an NA and a UT different sessions that talk you through. We've read numerous books. Bob, our breeder, Bob Ferris, wrote a book that's about training and testing versatile dogs.
Awesome.
Read that. We've watched hundreds of YouTube videos from Standing Stone and Cornerstone and all sorts of different training sites. And
that's awesome.
So we felt pretty familiar with what the test would be. We'd been in the world enough at that point to recognize, the field search part and what we're allowed to do, and then the tracking section and how exactly that would work, and then the bumper fetching, water portion, I guess. So so even though we hadn't volunteered yet, we'd been exposed a lot and felt pretty good about that.
Okay. And how was your volunteer experience?
It was phenomenal. Yeah. So helpful.
To be able to watch all the dogs
and we had never been to that exact testing site. We had mostly trained with the Big Sky chapter, and then we did the test with the Sharptail chapter at a new testing location for them anyway. Okay. So nobody had ever been to that location, which happened to be about 5 minutes from our house.
Oh, nice.
Instead of 5 hours, where the Sharptail chapter normally trains.
Yeah.
So that was a huge blessing in itself. Yeah. But it was so helpful just to watch the flow and get a feel for, the time frame and how long things take and how to make sure that we don't keep the judges waiting and...
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys are the fastest bird planters, right? Did you set a record?
We did, yeah.
Was like the child, like Burke, my son, and then Finn, they were timing you, right?
They were timing.
Your start to finish of planting birds in the field and being back was what?
Well, I'm not sure. I think we got down to 3.5 minutes. The judges were eager to move things along quickly, and the bird planters were the rate limiting factor.
And you were running, right?
We did some running, yes, through the fields. Fortunately, not too many gopher holes. But yeah, we got it down. Learned a lot about pheasants, actually, is what was in her field section.
Okay.
Hen pheasants.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. So it gets to be your test day, and going into it, was there any portion that you kind of had hesitations or concerns about?
Not the day of.
Okay.
No, we had trained at a Big Sky training event the weekend prior on both Saturday and Sunday, and basically had done mock tests both those days. Okay. Not official mock tests, just we did a field section, and then we did tracking with her, and then we did the water portion as well. And so we knew she was doing awesome. So Sunday before, the timing couldn't have worked out better. Chris Trina, one of the NAVHDA judges, he was out there just helping with the training day and happened to walk with our group, lead our group when we were training Sage on her final little pigeon run with one chucker in the field, because we hadn't trained with chucker yet. And he said it's the dogs will point the birds. They know what chucker, they will know that's a bird. Right. He said it's really psychological for the handler to know that their dog can point a chucker. Yeah. And so he walked right beside me, and I asked probably 50 questions of him on that day. And the rest of the crowd, you know, there's always a bit of a crowd following you on those days. Not a big crowd, but 6 people probably. But he and I just walked so close together, and I was just pinging him questions. Okay, on the training or on the test, can I do this, or what should when can I say something? When can I not? What should I tell the judges? Because Sage and I and Andrew, we all tend to move fairly quickly, and then on these NAVHDA training days, you get delayed by this group of people, so you tend to walk a lot slower than you're used to. Right. Well, then Sage gets ranged out pretty far compared to me trying to stay in more contact with her. So I said to him, like, hey, Chris, I need to stay in touch with Sage. You know, how do I do that on the testing day? And he said, Rachel, tell your judge. Say, hey, you know, I just want to let you know we tend to walk kind of fast. And he said, just tell him that, and it's our job to keep up. Wow. So he ended up actually being one of the judges for our test, and he was my handler. Okay. Which was such a huge relief.
So he kept up with you.
He kept up with me, yes. And so I did tell him, I said, oh, Chris, just want to let you know we tend to walk kind of fast. And so then we walked through the field, and he goes, oh my gosh, you guys do walk fast. I don't know who walks faster, Rachel or Sage. Although she's sprinting. But awesome. So that was, huge, and just helping us feel calm and confident before the actual day of the test. Yeah. Prior to that, we had a lot of reservations about mostly the water portion and the tracking portions. But right the day of test, I was not concerned at all. Zero concern.
Yeah. So what did her field portion look like? Like, how many birds did she find, and like, did she just nail those points beautifully? And
she did really awesome. So we ran first on the second day. So it's 7 a.m. It's cool and dewy, and so we kind of knew where the judges know where the birds are being planted. So I, let go Sage and say, all right, let's go. That's kind of our cue. And she takes off and starts, running around in front of us and stops hard at a big fluffy mound of grass and is pointing. And Chris, the judge, said to me, he said, Rachel, do you think that's she pointing a bird? And I'm like, what a silly question. Like, yes, of course. Why wouldn't she be pointing a bird? Right. And so he says, okay, walk up to your dog. So I get over there, because she's still on point at this point, and I go looking through this giant pile of grass, and there's no bird. Oh. It was where they'd planted, 10 birds the day before. Sure. I would assume, based on where Andrew had been putting the birds the day before. Yeah. And so I I guess pointing nothing's better than not pointing something. Yep. And so he's like, all right, we'll just carry on, and all right, Sage, let's go again, and kind of carried on another 20 yards or so, and she stops hard again, pointing really well at another big clump of grass. And so I look in there, and at this point, I'm looking and looking. I'm like, there's no bird in here. Well, next thing I know it, Sage actually has her mouth over top of this little pheasant. And so I reach down and grab it quickly and toss it in the air, and she takes off running and yipping her little poodle pointer yip. And so then I think she ended up pointing 4 birds total. Okay. And we moved down the field. She flushed one. I think there were only 4 in the field planted that day.
Yeah, that's right, because you guys had all pheasant in the field, didn't you?
All pheasant in the field.
Because they didn't have chucker.
There weren't chuckers.
Okay. So. Was that, you've done pheasant tracking with her before, but have you had her on field search portion?
Never. Never.
So it kind of came true of what Chris had told you earlier, right? With the chucker and
he said, those instincts will know that that's a bird. Yeah. So we actually, you're supposed to hunt for 20 minutes, and there was a big section of the field where they knew that birds hadn't intentionally been planted. So he said, all right, Rachel, we're in damage control. We don't want your dog to catch a bird. We don't want something bad to happen. So just hunt her down that way. There's not birds down there, but just let's kill some time on the clock. So we take Sage down this way, and she's just having the best day ever, running and running and running. And so we hunt back, and he actually tried to keep us from finding more birds. She, at that point, I think she had pointed 3 solid birds. And so he said, he kept using the word damage control, right? Okay. Trying to not create bad habits in her by letting her catch one of these kind of sleepy pheasants. They turned out to be really flighty, lively birds. Which was awesome. No birds were caught.
And they got up and they got out?
They got up and flew far and hard, which was awesome. Yeah. And so he says, okay, Rachel, keep Sage on this side of the field and try to keep her this way. And Sage just like, no, we are hunting the whole field. So I turn and actually walk the other direction to use body language to get her to come with me, which she does. And she goes, no, there's another bird over here. And so she goes over and points another bird and lets me go over there. And she held a point. She did. It was a great day. She doesn't always have great days. Yeah. But that was a great day.
That was a great
really
day.
Great for her.
She had it on the best day.
She had a great day on the best day. Yeah, she was a rock star.
Good.
So at that point, the nerves kind of,
I
got my nerves out, and then we got to wait for like 3 or 4 hours for the next portion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the track is always kind of like that iffy part of it. Like, you don't know what that pheasant's going to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody had told you what the pheasant actually did for your track, but how did she do on the track then?
She did really, really well.
Okay.
So we hadn't trained a lot of tracking pretty much through her whole training. We really focused primarily on birds, right, on pointing, the field search portion, and then we intermixed that with looking for the water portion, I guess, for searching for bumpers.
Yeah.
Or not searching, just swimming for bumpers.
Swimming for bumpers.
And so just, I think 10 days prior we had started, William had helped us help her with her track portion. And she wasn't doing so great on those days, so we did quite a few tracks prior to that.
Okay.
We bought a pheasant from a guy in Missoula and kept it in a little dog crate by our house and took it out to our training grounds. And her very last track that she did with us was really good. And I learned a lot about how I should release her, of that being different and keeping her calm, and also the fact that on that field portion you can kind of get a second go at it. If you don't feel confident to release them on the first go, you can circle back around with your hand still on the dog, settle him back down, and release again, which I had done, I think, on 2 of the tracks we did about 5 days prior to that.
Okay.
But on the day of the test, it felt so good, I let her go on the first one.
Yeah.
So bring her up to the feather pile, I keep my fingers down in it and let her smell it. Her head's to the ground, her tail's wagging, she's excited. And then I let her go, and she immediately takes a hard right turn right in front of me and cuts behind me. And I took a step forward, I think to the left, and Chris, the judge, he said, "Nope, Rachel, you can't move." He said, keep looking forward. The most you can do right now is keep looking forward in this direction. That's all you can do to help your dog. And so that portion of it felt like it took forever, which I know it was probably 5 seconds or 10 at the most.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, Sage comes up along my left side, nose still to the ground, and just follows this line straight, cuts like 45 degrees right, 45 degrees left, cuts straight. That probably took 10 seconds. And the head judge then said, "Well, I've seen enough." And I knew at that point that she had slayed it.
Yeah.
So then I have to go chase down my dog. And so she had run off through a barbed wire fence into these thick brush. And so I go over there and have my vest on because I have her leash and my water bottles. And it was a tight barbed wire fence, so there were 5 lines to it and really close together and tightly wound. And so I can't get through with my vest on. So I take my vest off. I'm trying to be in a hurry to not slow the thing down. Finally get through there. Can't catch her because she's a psychopath looking for this bird. So I pretend like I found the bird. I crouch down. I'm like, "Oh, look, here it is." So she comes running right up to me. I catch her, clip the lead, go to stand up, and I had missed the clip on her lead. So then she takes off again. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there goes our cooperation score. This dog's a maniac. We're going to get a terrible score, 0 on cooperation." Not actually. And so finally, somehow, magically, I get her back. And then Andrew had grabbed my vest. He showed up. We get her, and we knew she had done really well. So Andrew then said what she did was, when she went around me, her nose was to the ground the whole time. Okay. So she never went searching. Her body language is different when she's hunting or searching. She just followed a tight circle right around us. I don't know if she was tracking one of the people or what she smelled. Came right back to the feather pile and just tracked all the way to the fence.
Good girl.
So she got a 4 on that, which is really awesome. Yeah. Really, really awesome.
What a good girl.
Yes, she's awesome.
It's that part of trusting your dog, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's the hardest part in the natural ability test, is just having to stand there and hoping that
did we do enough? Did I release her right?
Right.
What more could I have done? And my heart really did drop at first when she hooked right. I thought, "Oh shoot, I screwed it up. I shouldn't have released her." but she came through for me.
Yeah.
She's a good girl.
And you talked a little bit about the release, right? So like for people listening that maybe haven't gone through the natural ability test yet, can you go a little bit into that and maybe what you were doing before and how you changed to feel like, yep, I got this right. This feels good to me.
Yeah. So at the handler's clinic, William had showed to hold your hand palm up under the collar so that when you release it, your hand doesn't pick up their head or doesn't interrupt their focus or concentration. And so I was doing that and kind of slowly bringing her up and having my hand down low into the other hand down low where she could be encouraged to smell the feathers. And I think the times when we were training and I chose to reset her was when her head popped up before I released her. And I think she was feeling eager to go hunting because that had been so successful for her in finding birds. She thought, well, why would I follow this track? I can just go hunt for birds and find them. And so I'm pretty sure it happened so fast. A lot of it just was an intuition thing. But I think it was seeing her not be focused before I'd release her. So on a couple of those, I just kept a hold of her collar, kept hanging onto her collar, circled her around. Then I would put my forearm in front of her chest, keep my hand on her collar, and just be calm, right? She needs to learn that, okay, we're tracking, we're not searching. Searching, I'd get her excited. All right, Sage, let's go. Where this one, I was like, all right, Sage, I'm just going to hold you steady. She's strong. She's 45 pounds of muscle. This dog is so strong for being a puppy. And but just holding her real...
She's a little brick shithouse.
She totally is. Yeah, she's totally is. She's a crazy, awesome dog, but crazy. Just holding her steady, and then I released her again better those second times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that release really helps, I think.
Yeah. Next portion is the water. And I know you had no doubts with that.
Yeah, not at that point. I had lots of doubts prior to the women's hunting camp, the hunting dog training camp.
Yeah.
Just she was really timid. Sage was such a timid puppy, and it was hard to get her into the water, and she wouldn't walk through a puddle. If we were on a walk, she would not get her toes wet in a puddle. She hadn't had a bad experience. She just didn't like it. But so then on the test day, we'd obviously been through a lot of transformation in that category as well. And one thing that had helped us along the way is Sage is so play motivated. That's her biggest motivator is play. She's not that food motivated, and she's not that affection motivated. She likes affection, but it's not her motivator. And so the biggest suggestion somebody had shared with us was to do this 2-bumper game. So she, get her excited about 1 bumper and get her to, just to be excited about the bumpers, and then lure her back with the 2nd bumper and just made it fun. So for a month or more, we had just had so much fun. No rules at the water. You could jump, you can play, you can be naughty. Just so much fun and so much play where we'd get in the water, we'd splash, we'd play. And so on the day of the test, the judges always at the beginning go through this little spiel about it. At the test, you can talk, you can be fun. And they always said, kids are the best because they just have so much fun. And I thought, well, shoot, I want to have fun too. So I got my 2 little bumpers and I'm, all right, Sage, let's go, let's play. And wiggling them around. And I didn't need to be that exuberant, but we had fun and we were the first ones to go. And so I toss it in and she flies off the ledge and goes splashing in and good girl, and calling her back and wiggling the 2nd one. And
I love it.
Yeah. Then you can get the bumper away from her so she doesn't play keep away by trading her for the other very fun bumper. So yeah,
it works for birds too.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yep, same thing because they'll come back. Yeah, with Basil. So
there you go. Didn't work for Basil. Didn't work for Basil. No. Because she has to play keep away with Sage because Sage is a bully. And Sage steals all of her toys.
Okay.
Every toy Basil ever gets is stolen by Sage within seconds. Yeah. Sage wants all the toys.
Yeah. Well, as she should.
She's prize 1.
Yes, she's a prize 1 bitch.
She is.
So, what was your final score then?
112, prize 1.
Yay.
So we were so elated to go from this little puppy we had thought she was a dud. Not actually, but we had concerns.
Yeah.
To then just being so proud of her that she's just an amazing dog.
Did you take her for a prize 1 bitch celebration?
Not really. Okay. No, we drank beer in her honor. So her registered name is Cedarwoods Mountain Standard, named after our favorite beer from one of our favorite breweries in Colorado.
And it's a very good beer.
It's a good beer. Yeah, it's a kind of a light, yummy IPA. And so we did drink that beer in her honor. And I really wanted to go paddleboarding. And Sage loves water now, so I was so excited to kind of have a non-bird dog week.
Yeah.
Just let her be a dog.
Yeah.
And so we kind of took it easy on training. We took it easy on obedience training, minus introducing the shock collar.
Mm-hmm. That was the follow-up training session, wasn't it?
It was, yes. It was introduction to the e-collar, and then having so much fun paddleboarding and all of that. So that was our biggest celebration with Sage.
Yeah.
It was fun.
That is fun.
It was really fun.
You talked a little bit about camp, so I want to touch on that. What kind of was your biggest takeaway from the Women's Pointing Dog Camp?
Oh my gosh, there were so many amazing things.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me personally was so much confidence in myself that came from that, and especially from doing it by myself and not with Andrew. Because I slept in a tent in grizzly bear country.
Yes.
That was the first time I had ever set up a tent by myself in my entire life.
Oh.
Not because I hadn't had, just because I never had.
Yeah.
So between just feeling so empowered that I can do these things without him there. Now, granted, I love doing stuff with him. I'd prefer to do stuff together.
Yeah.
But it felt so empowering to say, okay, I can be a woman dog trainer in a male-dominated sport. Yeah. And I can be a woman hunter, and I'm not alone, that there's all these other amazing women that came from all over the country, from Alaska to Tennessee and Illinois and everywhere in between, and just growing that confidence in myself and in growing and having that confidence builds in my dog and in the things that we were doing with her. Because we had no clue what we were doing. We were learning so much along the way and just getting so much positive feedback and just different tips from Ruth and then Bridget were so helpful with the puppies, the two trainers that spent the most time with the little puppy group there. Yeah. So that's just awesome. tons of confidence in myself and then confidence in Sage and what we were doing.
And you had the breakthrough in the water there?
And we had our water breakthrough. That was my main kind of training focus goal was, I've got to get this dog in the water. We had gotten her to swim before, but always just following us across this tiny little ditch where she would swim for 2 strokes and be out. Mm-hmm. And so I said, guys, this is my goal. I'm sure they all thought I was crazy because she just slayed it in the first moment. She's so competitive and so play-driven. We took all these puppies and it was... Well, Sage had a free-for-all. A lot of the puppies, they didn't have a free-for-all as much. But we got these bumpers, and I was getting excited. All right, Sage, and tossed the first one. And she charged in and splashed and swam really well.
She's like, I've been doing this all my life. Yeah. No big deal.
Exactly. I was really proud of her. One of them, because I was like, I've got to build this drive. Like, that built so much drive in her. Yeah. I was just tossing them and having fun. And somebody else had tossed a bumper for, I think it was an 8-month-old German short hair pointer that swam in after it. And Sage was like, heck no, I'm not going to let you beat me to the bumper. So my little 5-month-old puppy motorboats out there like a river otter, passes him, and steals his retrieve and brings it back, not to me, but to the shore. And so I apologize. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that was so rude. And on the inside, I was like, heck yeah, like you go, girl. You go steal that retrieve.
I love the competitive side.
Yeah, so we both are competitive. I tried to be kind, but I was super proud of her. I was super proud of her. And she has been a little water rock star ever since. So that was just the perfect environment for her. It could not have been better.
Yeah. And I love how, like, bird dog fever that you and Andrew have gotten. I mean, besides, like, the testing stuff, like, you now have your own flock of pigeons.
We have our own flock of pigeons. Yes, my family thinks we have totally lost our mind. My grandma and grandpa love hearing about us and our pigeons. They're all named.
Yeah. How many do you have?
Let's see. We bought 12. I think we currently have 15. I'm hesitant on the numbers because we've had some babies born recently. Okay. I think we have 14 currently that can fly. Not all are trained to our coop, but yeah, so there were a couple seasons, a couple weeks where we were spending time training the pigeons. Mm-hmm. We had to actually train them how to go through the trap door back into the coop. So we would go and train pigeons by taking these 5 or 6 birds out of the coop and one at a time wet their wings in warm soapy water. So that Ben told us this trick.
Okay. Yeah. Keep up with it. I haven't heard this.
Okay. And you guys probably don't do this with your pigeons. Yeah. Maybe it's an unnecessary step. But because we had so few pigeons, every pigeon was so valuable, we couldn't risk losing them for anything. Right. So we got these 6 pigeons, and we dip one at a time, 2 wings in their warm soapy water, and then put them on a little platform near the bob door with the trap door kind of held in an up position. So the soapy water prevents them from flying away. And then we feed the pigeons on the inside. So they're like, ooh, let's go be with my friends. So they'd go in there and then eat. So we did that for 3 days, once with the bobs all the way up, then with 2 of the trapdoor bobs, I guess, or, those little wires that hang down. 2 of them up, so they had 2 slightly larger gaps to go through. And then on the 3rd day with none of them up, so they had to learn that they could stick their head through, and then those bars would swing in, and they could then move into the coop.
Did you have any duds that couldn't figure that out?
No, my grandma was like, oh my gosh, Rachel, you're the best pigeon trainer ever. Why, thank you, Grandma. I'm not, but thank you. But so I told my grandma one day, I was like, all right, Grandma, here's our schedule. We're going to go home. We need to do obedience training with the dogs. Then we're going to feed the dogs. Then we're going to train the pigeons. And then we're going to go run the dogs. And this is the middle of the summer in Montana where it stays light till 10:30.
Right.
And I said, and then I'm really, really glad when the sun goes down because we can't keep doing stuff and we actually have to go to bed. But so then part of the training of the pigeons, because we can't train, we live on an acre. I shouldn't say we only. It's a blessing to live on an acre. Yeah. But it's just mowed grass. Okay. So we can't actually do field search on our own land. So we have some state land and then a friend who has a big property that we can go out to train. Mm-hmm. But you have to train the pigeons how to find home from these different locations, which maybe we were overly cautious, but we'd take them 1/4 mile away, then 3/4 miles away, then 1.5 miles away, and then 2 miles away, then 3 miles, then about 3.5 they'd be at their training site.
And they do good.
Yeah, yep, they did really well. We've lost 3 total.
Really?
Which is pretty good.
You think to raptors?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So.
We have a nasty one too here.
Oh, shoot.
Big pigeon killers.
Yeah, ironically, actually, one of our pigeons that got lost was named Bob. And we didn't really like Bob. We called him naughty names. He was a punk. And so Bob got lost, right? Bob didn't come home one day.
Yeah.
Well, I kid you not, Courtney, 2 or 3 days later, Andrew's scrolling through the news on his phone. He goes, oh my gosh, Rachel, look at this article. The title literally said, Homing Pigeon Bob found 4,000 miles away in Alabama.
What?
And we're like, oh my gosh. Obviously not our homing pigeon.
Not your Bob.
Not my Bob. But the irony that we just lost ours, 4,000 miles is probably from Montana to Alabama. I don't know. It's like, that's so crazy. The irony of that.
That is.
So Bob has not been found. But
Bob is
that's
such a common pigeon name.
Totally.
Like, just like how certain dogs have, like, Lucky or Spot or something. It's like Bob's the pigeon.
Bob is the pigeon. Andrew named Bob, I have to say. The ones I named are Latte, Macchiato, Mocha. We have Speckles, Snowfy.
No Sparkle Farts?
No, Sparkle Farts was taken. I could not go with Sparkle Farts. Courtney has a pig named Sparkle Farts. When we met Sparkle Farts, I said, oh my gosh, your kids must have named that. And she looks at me with this coy look and says, no, William named Sparkle Farts.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now that the test is over and you guys have introduced the e-collar, when I say what's next is you have hunting season right around the corner.
Absolutely.
So what kind of hunting plans do you have for this year? Because I bet you are just so stoked to get this prize win bitch out into the fields or the woods and the woods.
Yeah, all of the above.
And the hills.
Yeah, we have been having so much fun planning our schedules of all the things to do because we have just a couple weeks left till hunting season opens for grouse in Montana. So we're going to start by heading up to the east to look for some Sharpies and Huns and sage grouse with Andrew and one of his coworkers. Yeah. Ben will meet up with them for several days. Then we're going to meet up with you guys, try to find some birds there. And I'll be so excited to watch Angus, your Brocco, get to go see his beautiful gait.
Yeah.
And see what Sage can do then. And
fun.
Then basically every weekend after that, we're hoping to go chase a lot of the mountain grouse around where we live and have all sorts of fun looking for birds just in the places we've been scouting. And we've already found some birds. Sage has gotten into some grouse already that makes us really excited for her to learn how to hunt in the woods because we haven't trained in the woods at all. So that'll be fun. And then what else? Then Grouse Camp is at the end of September.
Oh, yeah. Grouse Camp.
So we'll be having a whole big blast there. Yes. I can't wait to be a better shooter.
Yeah, the shooting instructions will be great.
So that'll be awesome. And I don't know what else happens after that.
I mean, what are you going to do? Because you guys are used to big game hunting. So, are you just going to cut back a bit? Or are you going to be like, okay, well, as soon as... I'm going to keep pursuing for this, and then as soon as I get that, then I'll focus more on upland hunting, or kind of what's your strategy for that?
Yeah, so big game rifle won't open until the middle of October.
Okay.
So we do have an elk trip planned.
Okay.
And so the dogs will need to not come along. And that's always the worst part of that. So I told Andrew, I said, you have to get an elk because we don't have any more time to waste chasing big game.
Yeah.
So we'll have that weekend. And then after that, it'll be back to birds. We do have a plan B. We can try to get some whitetail for the freezer, since that is what we eat so much of.
Right,
we do depend on the meat.
Essentially, that does fill the freezer, not the birds.
It does. But there's several places we can go hunting where we can bring the dogs, hunt for does in the morning, and then once we get the freezer, get the meat for the freezer, then we can grab the dogs and go look for pheasants and other birds too. So yeah, we've talked a lot. I even said to Andrew, I said, well, maybe you'll end up going big game hunting with your guy friends, and I'll take the girls, the two puppies, and I will go hunting for birds. And he kind of hemmed and hawed, said, no, I think I'd rather go hunting with you guys. So, but we need meat too, so better shoot an elk.
Yep, shoot that elk, and then
just gotta get an elk.
Then come on back.
And then back to birds.
Yeah.
So.
Too fun.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
I love it. Well, and there's just, you guys actually have, this is something that's going to be rare to probably a lot of people listening, is where you live, there's quail everywhere. And they're considered an invasive species. So you can shoot them year-round, don't need a hunting license. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, no limit.
No limit. Have you taken advantage of that at all yet?
I have tried very hard to find somebody who will let me even run the dogs on quail.
Oh.
The trick with the quail is they're pretty much all, I found just a couple on public land where you're not allowed to shoot guns. And the rest of them are all on private land along the river bottom. That's pretty much all private. And I'm a physical therapist, and I talk to patients all day that live in this area.
Yeah.
And I ask often, I said, oh, do you have birds on your land? Do you have quail? Do you have huns? Anything else? And, oh, yes, we have tons of cute little quail. Oh, I love them so much. Oh, I feed them. Oh, and so then I say, oh, that's so great. Could I ever bring my dogs out? We won't bring guns. We just want them to smell and point birds.
Right.
Nobody will let me even bring the dogs out to run, just to smell the birds.
Why?
Because they love them, because they're cute. And they bounce around and do cute things.
They can bounce and do cute things with a dog pointing them, too.
That's what I said. And I've not found a single patient. Patients have let me do many things. I've been really kind to give us access to properties and things like that, but no quail.
Oh, bummer.
But Basil got to smell some wild quail the other day.
Did she?
On the state land where we've been able to run, we found 2 little coveys. It was just me and Basil together. Nice. And she was excited about them. And they weren't super fleshy, I guess. So she got a little bit closer to him and smelled him and pointed him, and we chased him for a little while. But you can't shoot firearms on that property, on that state land portion.
Well, that's nice that she got a little nose full of quail.
Yeah, it was really good for the baby. She did awesome.
Very exciting. So next year, are you guys going to go through the breaking process with Sage, do you think? You're going to, do you have any intentions, or I'm sure you have that competitive edge, right? So you want a utility tester, don't you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh yeah. We've been super excited about that.
Yeah. So do you have plans? I mean, she's a baby.
She's a baby.
She's a baby right now. So she'd only be a year and a half next summer. Is that your goal, or are you going to give it a year?
My guess is we won't UT test her by next year. Our plan for this season is to just let this hunting season be a blast, and not put any controls on her at all. So she might flush 100 pheasants. Yeah. And if she does and has so much fun, that's okay. Yep. We'll only shoot birds if she points them. And if she doesn't point a single bird, that'll be okay. Wow. Which she'll learn. She'll point them. Yeah. But we're not going to enforce any steadiness or any whoa or any force fetching yet, because we just want to build that drive and help her learn that hunting is so much fun. Yeah. And so then our plan would be next spring to work on a reliable retrieve course with her, and then do a lot more steadiness, whoa training, things like that. Okay. And so that would come next summer. My guess is we won't be ready to test. Maybe, but I would be I'd be surprised. Yeah. Sage has an enormous amount of drive, and I think that'll make steadiness take a while. She might need to be 2.5 to have the maturity to recognize I need to wait, and then I can have a good thing. So we'll just have to see how that goes.
Yeah, see how she goes through the process.
Yep.
For
And
sure.
because we'll also be getting Basil ready for the NA test.
Yes, so let's talk about Basil.
Yes, our other
Oh my gosh, we keep talking about her. Yeah, so that was kind of a interesting way that happened.
It was interesting.
You guys came for your a training session. Was it right before your test? Was it the weekend before?
It was, yeah. It was when we were practicing tracking with Sage. Mm-hmm. And so we had come up here to train with William, and those one-on-one sessions have been so, so valuable for helping us new trainers and handlers. So we brought Sage up to do the tracking, and we pulled up in the car, and there's this pen of, I think, 16 puppies.
Yes.
Milling around doing puppy things. They're so cute, wrestling and tumbling and playing. And Andrew says to me, he says, "Oh my gosh, Rachel, let's steal one. There's too many to count. There's no way they can hold still long enough for Courtney and William to count." So we stole one, and that's how we got Basil. No. So we said, ha, 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 let's steal one. So we go on about training with Sage, and came back, and I don't know exactly how the conversation unfolded, but we were asking you guys, okay, how many puppies from the different litters, and how many are you keeping? And he said, oh, we're keeping this many, and actually...
Which is a lot many.
Which is a lot many.
Yeah.
And you said, actually, this is one less than a lot many. Mm-hmm. We were going to keep so many, but decided to not keep this one.
Yeah.
And you said, here she is, her name's Pickles. And so you plop Pickles into our arms, and you say, actually, she's available. We haven't found, haven't looked for anybody for her yet, but she needs to go to a really special home.
Yeah.
And so Andrew and I are kind of looking at each other. Ha ha, yes, we should take her. Andrew says, oh yeah, we should take her. And we look at each other and make eye contact, and we're like, maybe we should take her. Like, actually, we might be serious about this. So we have had puppy fever even since getting Sage. We've had so much fun with her. We had gone to some friend's house, and they have this 9-year-old bloodhound. And we brought Sage over when she was probably 4 months old, and we were like, oh my gosh, isn't this great? Doesn't this give you puppy fever? And my friend said, no, this looks so stressful. You guys are constantly getting up, constantly seeing what she's chewing on, constantly letting her out. And she was like, that looks so stressful. I love my 9-year-old dog. And I said, oh my gosh, we already have puppy fever for another puppy. I'd been dreaming of puppy dog, other female bird dog names.
Yeah.
Had already been thinking through that. So the stars just aligned perfectly. And so then, anyway, that back to the day that we met Pickles, then you guys said, well, why don't you guys just take her home for a trial run? And you, of course...
See what it's like with 2 puppies.
Yeah, see if we can handle it. Think about our schedules, because Sage we had planned for a year.
Right.
And we had, made sure Andrew wasn't traveling, made sure that, because he now works, well, he's able to work from home as much as he needs to, so... With the puppies, he's under puppy daddy house arrest, not able to go to the office as much. And so we had planned so much for Sage. So you guys said, okay, take her home. Think about your schedules. Are you going to be able to juggle 2 puppies? That's a lot. And so we took her home and just fell in love with this little love bug. And she's so cuddly and affectionate, and Sage loves her.
Yeah.
And so we did end up having to give her back for 3 days because Andrew did go to the office. He had something already planned to have to be in the office.
Yeah.
And that next morning, when Sage got up, she was sad.
Aww.
She was looking for Basil. She went to her crate and scratched at the crate door and was like, "Where's my friend? Like, why was my friend here and now she's gone?" And, so we missed Basil as well, and it was good for her to be away for 3 days because we had a chance to okay, what do we need? How are we going to juggle the schedule with the 2 dogs? Because we think structure is so important for them. Mm-hmm. How do we create a new pattern of structure for these dogs? And so that's... So
then you got a wire hair.
So now we have a Poodle Pointer and a German wire hair.
I love the beards that you're building at your house.
Yes, I have my 3 bearded companions in my family. Andrew has his 3 ladies, and I have 3 bearded companions.
I love it.
So yeah, they're awesome.
So you and Andrew both did mutually the training with Sage, but then you tested her. Yeah. And how did you guys kind of come to that decision?
Yeah, so we trained her equally, especially with obedience stuff. And largely because, at that time we thought we'd only have 1 dog. We wanted her to obey both of us just as well and be able to hunt for us both equally as well. But Andrew was so kind and encouraging. He had recognized in me that I loved the idea of the testing or showing side, and that was really where my passion differed from his. Now, we both loved the hunting, but he grew up with the bird dogs and loved the hunting side, which I enjoy as well. I really love that as well, but my passion for the test, I had a greater passion for the test, and I really wanted to be the handler. So I brought it up to him. I said, Andrew, who do you think should handle Sage in the test on the night that we actually officially signed her up? And he said, well, Rachel, why don't you be the handler? Like, you're really excited about that. So he was so encouraging. So once that decision was made, I was the one that handled her in all of our training runs, or most of them. We had kind of alternated a little bit, but most of the training things. So Andrew bent over backwards to run around planting birds and go set up traps in the field before us while I hung out with friends or, talked to landowners and who were my patients in most cases. And then we'd go and I would get to hunt her and he would back plant birds and he would move the launchers around and he walked miles without even hunting a dog. And it was so kind. He never once grumbled. I always offered. I said, hey, can I do that? And so he did phenomenal. He was so wonderful. So I'm so grateful for that. And he's been so encouraging and helpful and had so much fun being the handler.
Yeah. So now with Basil, is Andrew going to be doing the handling, do you think?
I would guess so.
Okay.
I think that we'll probably encourage that. Yeah. He said we'll wait to decide until later.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see. Yeah. I think it'd be good, but I would also be fine to be the handler.
Right.
But we do want them to hunt for both, so
right.
I don't want one to get too attached to... I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. And that can happen. We that's why we have our own strings of dogs.
Exactly.
And you guys just need to keep filling your strings.
We do.
Yeah, because you only have 2 dogs. You're like...
I know, we only have 2 dogs. Even when we were deciding to get the second puppy, we called people. We talked to you guys who have numerous dogs per person.
Yeah.
And we talked to Ben, Andrew's coworker and friend, and I think he has 4 dogs for himself. And everyone was really encouraging of more dogs equals more happiness. So
for sure.
2 is good for right now. 2 puppies, because we have a 7-month-old and a 3-month-old.
Yeah.
That's enough for right now.
That's good.
Yeah. I actually had a dream the night we brought Basil home officially, that we had somehow magically had a 2-year-old daughter, human daughter.
Really?
And like a 4-month-old baby.
Oh
kind of be like a human equivalent of their actual ages.
Right.
And it was borderline nightmare.
Was it scary?
It was really scary.
Oh my gosh. Did you have hesitations then?
No, I woke up and I was so relieved they were dogs and not humans. It's like, I can do dogs. Human children, I love your children, but babies are scary. Babies are scary.
Yeah.
I was very relieved. Super stoked to have 2 puppy daughters and very relieved they were not human daughters.
Yeah. So I'm curious of what your structure is. Like because Grandma obviously knows what your structure is, but I don't know what your structure is. So can you kind of walk me through, like, is a typical day like very structured, or do you have some variety?
Yeah, so typical days are pretty structured, especially around meal times, because these are both really high drive, high energy working dogs that need a job. So we always want them to feel like they're earning their meals. So in the morning, we'll usually get up, and since we have the 2 now, we'll walk both dogs about a mile, and sometimes that'll be one of us or both of us together, depending on the morning. And then they both go to their crates while we cut up hot dog bits to train them with hot dog bits, because Sage is not food motivated at all, or she wasn't. She is more so now. Basil's a food psychopath, but we can't feed can't feed Sage hot dogs, and Basil wouldn't tolerate anything less. So then we'll usually get out. We always want Sage to be gotten out first. We want her to maintain the lead role.
Great.
And so we'll get out Sage and usually do a 5 to 10, sometimes longer, about 10-minute training session with her in the morning of obedience of some sort. So place board, target here, extended place, extended sit, whatever that might be that we're working on, sometimes some fetching. Then we'll put Sage away, put her back in her crate. Then we'll get out Basil and do little mini place board or sit or target here, things like that with her. Then we'll put Basil up. Then we'll get Sage out and do a second session. Then we'll put her up. Then we get out Basil and do another session. This is why my grandma thinks I'm totally crazy. This is all at 5 in the morning. Yeah. And then we'll get Sage back out, feed Sage, put Sage away, get out Basil, feed Basil. And then this is the most important step of the morning for the dog structure. While I'm in the bathroom getting cleaned up before work in the morning, they get to chew on a bone in the bedroom right near me. Okay. And so Basil will immediately run straight to the bedroom after she finishes her food because she knows the bone is coming next. Yeah, one morning with Sage, I had skipped that step and had to put her straight into her kennel because I was showering and she wasn't trustworthy to be left unsupervised. Yeah. And she was normally great in her kennel, and she literally screamed for 5 minutes while I was in the shower because I had forgotten the step. I didn't forget, but she thought I had forgotten the bone chewing step.
You're missing something.
I missed the step.
It's a very important step.
The very important step is chewing on the bone. So then after I'm ready, we usually go for another walk of a mile or half a mile to a mile. And then they go to their crates for a couple hours. Okay. And then during the workday, Andrew tries to keep them in the crates for a couple hours and manages different little training things or just free time for them. And then we repeat the whole training process in the evening. So a little bit more obedience, of varying length in the evening. And
that's amazing.
Then we'd usually go on some sort of an adventure, whether that's, a walk a little bit longer, mile and a half or two, go plant pigeons and run on pigeons, go run on state land just to get exercise and exploring, go for a hike. And then the sun sets and we go to bed all very, very tired and start it over at 5 a.m.
I love it.
And then weekends vary some. We still try to do training before food. Yeah. But going out to NAVHDA training days or going, just hiking or backpacking. And
yeah. You guys have been hardcore NAVHDA. I mean, you were at the test this last weekend. You're out there planting birds. And I mean, how thankful, we are in the chapter to have people like you guys. We really are, just to be there and helping out, even though you don't have a dog entered. And
yeah,
it's
thank
really
you.
Nice.
Yeah, we've had so much fun just getting to know people and encouraging others and watching the dogs that we've been watching train all summer, watching them test and hanging out with people afterwards. It's been fun. We've been having a blast doing it.
In training, with what you guys learned with Sage, will you be doing anything different with Basil, do you think?
That's a great question, and I think time will tell on that.
Yeah.
Basil's definitely getting to be exposed to things sooner. With Sage, we barely had the pigeons by the time we got the dog, and actually we had Sage before we even got pigeons, but we couldn't use the pigeons for 6 weeks because they had to get home to our coop. So Sage didn't get as much exposure, and we really had no clue what we were doing about anything. So Basil's already swimming, and she's 3 months old, I think now, a little over 3 months. So she's already swimming. She's done some bumper fetches into sort of not deep water, very shallow water. Yeah. So yeah, she's kind of a second child syndrome of just getting to do everything a little bit faster. But so yeah, I think some training as far as obedience stuff will be a little different because she's so food motivated, where Sage wasn't. Okay. Where Sage is play motivated. So like the bumpers was very easy with Sage to get her excited about that. And so we tried to use food to motivate Basil, but as soon as the food came out, she was just neurotic about the food, right?
She
about
couldn't
hot dog
concentrate.
She couldn't concentrate because she doesn't want to play. Right. Where we can use food as a reward for Sage for bringing back the bumper, but Sage loves play so much she'll still go fetch the bumper. Where if we rewarded Basil with a hot dog bit for bringing a bumper back, she doesn't want anything to do with bumpers. Right. She's like, "Where's the bag of hot dogs?" Because that's all I care about. So I think there will be differences there. Yeah. Basil's more affectionate. She loves to cuddle and loves to be loved on, where Sage wants to lick my face for 2 minutes and give me little love nips with her sharp little teeth, and then she wants to be done. She wants to go lay on her bed or be alone. Where Basil will just come and, if I'm sitting on the floor, Basil wants to be in my lap the whole time, just cuddling, just loving.
All day long.
Which makes my puppy mama heart very happy. Loving.
And you met Tori, so Tori's like that. I just will love you for the rest of my life.
Just to love her, which is so amazing. So time will tell how the training varies.
It's interesting, and it'll be great for you guys of just taking a different approach. Yeah, that absolutely. Really makes you better trainers in having different dogs, different approaches, seeing what works for one that doesn't work for the other. Yeah. So that's really exciting.
You and William will continue to be super helpful for us in that.
Absolutely.
As we learn the differences in the dogs. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, William, what we did with Sage isn't working, but we don't know what else options are to do. So we've been so grateful for just training sessions with you and the friendships that have come from that too.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Well, we love spending time with you guys. But I mean, even when we're not dog training, we're just out paddle boarding or going to the lake. We have so much fun with you guys.
Oh, thanks.
Very grateful. Have you noticed any differences between the breeds, between Poodle Pointers and Wire Hairs?
Gosh, that's hard to say.
Because they're so young, right?
Because they're young, and they're both just one example of the breeds themselves. So there's a ton of differences between the two dogs.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about the breeds in general, because Sage isn't that affectionate, but I've met a lot of affectionate Poodle Pointers. So I'm not sure I can say about the breed specifically. I think in general, as far as hunting, there will be a lot of similarities with really high drive, gung-ho, hard, tough dogs. I think time will tell.
They're going to be a great team.
They're going to be awesome.
Excited to, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun as the bigger and older Basil gets, the more she's able to do.
Yeah.
She's still so young, but she's over double in size compared to when we first got her.
Yeah.
And just her keeping up with Sage is so much better, and she's starting to search on her own a little bit more compared to just playing tag along with Sage and trying to bite her ears while Sage is hunting, which Sage loves to play with Basil at home, but when Sage is hunting, Sage doesn't mess around. She has one focus, and that's finding birds or swimming for bumpers.
Yeah.
Or leaves or sticks, but mostly birds.
I have a couple gear questions for you, because as a kind of novice upland hunter, I wouldn't say novice. You're several years into it.
I would say definitely novice.
Well, I still think, like, I'm curious, like, with getting into it, it's difficult to find women's gear, and it takes a little bit of research or just going, I'm just going to go with this because it's here, right? So, let's see. What do you have for boots, field boots?
So I have Solomon hiking boots.
Okay.
That have been my boots for hiking and backpacking. Bought them at REI, just looking for hiking boots. I have really weak ankles, so they come up above my ankles. And Andrew has the same pair, but in the men's version. And he's been offered by friends and other people, hey, you've got to try this brand or that. And we're both prone to, especially Andrew, to blisters.
Okay.
And these boots don't give us blisters.
Nice.
And so Andrew says, nope, man, it's not worth it. I'm not trying your other hunting boots.
Yeah.
So we just love our Solomon.
You go with what works.
Yep, we're on our second pair of those exact same boots. Solomon.
Okay.
Yep, and I don't know even what the name is of the boot.
Yeah.
But they're mostly waterproof, and we use them for snowshoeing, hiking, hunting, backpacking. Everything. Training with pigeons.
Awesome.
Or chacos. We're in the water, chacos.
What about, field pants? What are you going to wear for hunting pants this season?
Ooh, so I have 3 favorites. The one I've had the longest are my Prois upland pant. They have a Pradland pant, and it's a little bit thicker, but when we're doing this bird dog hunting world that I've gotten into, you do a lot of crashing off trail through thick stuff, and so the brush pants are so helpful because they don't rip or snag, and they do protect you from the birds. So those are really awesome when it's cooler, but they're a little thicker. So then Andrew, for my birthday, got me a pair of Orvis upland pants that are super comfy and lighter weight.
Yes.
So I'll definitely be using those early season. And then I just got a pair of the First Light Altura guide pant, and they are the comfiest of all those. They fit so well. Like I have to wear a belt with almost all my pants because of the shape of my body. And I don't have to wear a belt with those pants. I said to Andrew probably 40 times, I said, oh my gosh, these First Light pants, I said, I wish they come in more colors. And all those pants were designed for women.
Yep.
So the selection's low. Yeah. But the stuff I found has been really good.
Yeah. Good. Very good. What are you doing for a vest?
So this year, we had our 5-year anniversary and splurged and both bought Final Rise vests.
You did?
We did,
awesome.
yeah. So we have those all ready to go.
Excellent.
And they are very bright and shiny orange.
Yes.
William pointed out that they should not be that bright and shiny after a season or two.
With some blood stains.
Yeah, with some blood stains and getting the orange a little dusty. So, yeah, we're loving those. I had a vest before that was a women-designed vest that the pockets didn't snap very well.
Okay.
And I ended up losing a whole box of shells. Yeah. And I was rather disgruntled because our shell supply was low and very, very expensive a couple years ago. And so I was excited. The final rise vests are phenomenal. So comfy and plenty of water places for the dogs. And
and they close up nice.
Yeah, I have a bear spray attachment. Andrew has a gun, like a pistol holster attachment, because we hunt in bear country a lot. And
I've lost so many gloves wearing previous vests. With those that just didn't close, and man, that's frustrating when you lose your little glove liners just for those cold days when you just want a little something on your hands, and then you lost it somewhere. It's very frustrating.
Yes.
So I do also appreciate the final rise vest. What about shotgun? What are you shooting?
So that was a long, hard hunt for us. I had mostly been borrowing guns. We had a friend from church that had loaned us, this is a different friend from the other gun, but a Browning B2 or B80 or B something that no longer is made. And it fit me so well, and I was so excited and couldn't find anything like it. So Andrew and I looked for women fitting guns, which is so challenging. Because the length of pull, I have a fairly small frame, and so I needed a smaller gun, but a youth gun has such a short barrel, and just wasn't designed sometimes to the caliber of what we were looking for. So we went for weekends to Cabela's and gun stores around here, and to Shields and Sportsman's, and looking for guns and shouldering guns and not knowing what I was looking for. So we ended up buying a Benelli M2 semi-automatic gun that really fits me really well.
It does.
I'm a little envious of the people with the really pretty wooden stocks and the break open, because you can use them in the NAVHDA stuff.
Yeah, you shoot what feels good on you, So
we bought that gun before we even had the puppies, and fits really well. It's really lightweight. The semi-automatic, the inertia action reduces the recoil a ton.
Nice.
So I can shoot tons and tons of rounds without feeling any impact on the shoulder, which is great. I should practice more than I do. But Andrew and I
should.
Yeah, Andrew and I were just talking. I said, Andrew, I really would love, if we get really into this NAVHDA stuff, I want to break open, because you have to have that when you're doing the stuff at NAVHDA because of safety reasons.
Right.
With hunting.
Especially all the gopher or the badger holes that we
all the badger
have
holes.
in our grounds.
I have fallen probably 4 or 5 times just walking through this thick, tall grass with these gopher holes. So Andrew said, well, maybe we should get you a siren shotgun.
Oh my gosh.
I said, I really want one.
Well,
so maybe next
try
year.
it out. Yeah.
Yep.
Try it out.
So for this year, the one I have works.
Yours fits great. And we just had the Zoom meeting and did shotgun fitting the other day for those that are coming to Grouse Camp, which was super helpful. And Tracy said too, looks good. Rachel, it fits you great.
Yeah, it fits well. I've practiced with it. I like the semi-auto because I get 3 shots instead of 2.
Yeah.
So a little extra bonus. Not that I ever fire more than 1 shot, but the idea is there.
It's nice you kill all your birds on your first shot. That's very nice.
I killed birds. I'm not fast enough to fire more than 1. Don't know where things have gone, but it fits really well. I'm really grateful for it. It's a great gun.
Awesome.
Great gun.
What is your favorite game bird recipe?
My favorite that comes to mind is pheasant parmesan.
Oh.
And I don't have a specific pheasant-based recipe for it.
Okay.
Because with all of our hunting, I don't search for wild game-specific recipes because there's so few. So I just substitute the closest bird. So like chicken parmesan. So you type into Google chicken parmesan, and there's a little all recipes recipe that comes up.
Yes.
And that's the one I put pheasant in.
Nice.
And it is so good.
Yes.
By the time you put anything smothered with marinara and tons of cheese and fry it and bread it and fry it, it could be cardboard and it would taste so good. But with the pheasant, it's extra yummy. So pheasant parmesan for sure.
Have you had sharptail yet?
No, I haven't had sharptail.
Oh, you're probably going to have it the week before I get to hunt with you, but I'm really excited. Like when we're going to do the game bird feast that night.
Oh,
I'm really excited to do some sharptail recipes for people.
Nice. What's your favorite sharptail recipe?
Honestly, just like straight up with butter and a little bit of seasoning. Actually, Bailey Peterson turned me on to his Alpine Touch. It's a Montana spice, and I tried it for the first time last year, and I love it. So just a little bit of that and some butter, and fry it really lightly on each side.
Oh, yum!
So good.
Not breaded.
No, it tastes
just
like steak.
up.
Yeah.
Is it dark? Is it red meat?
It's red meat.
Oh my gosh, no way!
Yeah,
because they're huge, right? They're big birds.
Yeah, they're a good sized bird. Yeah,
or it's sage grouse.
Sage grouse is really big.
Okay,
but yeah, sharptail is. I mean, it's a good sized bird.
Okay, bigger than rough grouse.
Yeah. I would say they're about the same size as ruffed grouse.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So, yeah. Bigger than a hunt.
Okay, bigger than a hunt. Good.
Not as big as a pheasant.
Mm-hmm. But all delicious.
Yeah, all delicious.
Ruffed grouse. We got a couple ruffed grouse last hunting season. And we ate it. I think we breaded it and fried it and had it over fettuccine Alfredo.
Nice.
And the way I described the meat, it was so good. Probably a young bird, but so tender.
Yeah.
I described it as chickenier chicken. Like chicken that tastes more delicious like chicken than chicken does itself. Like if somebody had served that to me and said, hey, Rachel, here's some chicken, I would have said, wow, that is the best seasoned, juiciest, yummiest, tenderest chicken.
Wow.
Because it tasted like chickenier chicken. Chicken that tasted more like chicken than chicken itself. Not sure how that's possible, but it was good.
Have you had dusky grouse yet? Blue grouse?
No, we only got ruffed grouse and one spruce grouse.
All right, let's go dusky grouse hunting.
Okay.
Ruffed grouse is really good.
Okay.
Dusky grouse is even better.
It's better? Okay.
Yeah. It
that
is like
awesome.
The filet mignon of... Ooh. Yes, it's very good.
Yum.
Very good.
Cool. Birds are awesome.
They are
so
awesome.
Much fun.
We could talk about eating birds all night.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, since your husband is Onyx Andrew, as all my friends refer to him as, and he's amazing. He's going to put on a navigation Onyx training for all the ladies on a Zoom call to do beforehand, and then he's actually coming to camp and going to teach them how to put it to use there and do some in-field stuff. So I'm really excited about that. But you have obviously a very close in to one of my favorite tools. So what is something that you use the most, or is maybe something that people should be utilizing a little bit more that's really helpful?
So there's a couple things that come to mind.
Okay.
Probably one of the most unique use cases I've done is using Onyx to calibrate how far from my home I should release my pigeons. So I drop a point on my house and draw a line from my house directly to our training site, and then try to find roads that intersect with that line. So that's not that unique of a use of Onyx, of the app itself, but using it for that purpose is really helpful. However, if you want to navigate not as the pigeon flies, that's really inconvenient because I can't fly. So if I tell Onyx, go to this waypoint, it takes a straight line from point A to point B, which isn't practical. But Andrew showed me, this is super handy because I was really struggling with this. Let's say I drop a waypoint on a side of the road where I think there's an interesting place that we might want to go scout or go grouse hunting. Mm-hmm. So I can put a waypoint there and then copy and paste the GPS coordinates into Google or Apple Maps. And then it'll give me road directions to that location.
Really?
Which is really handy.
Oh,
and
I didn't know that.
I think they're working on making that a feature that the app directly can do for you.
Okay.
But it's so handy because I was frustrated. I say, navigate me to this point, and it takes you as the pigeon flies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm not a pigeon. That's not helpful. I'm not going to walk 57 miles straight northwest from my house to that spot. Yeah. Not happening.
Yeah.
But to be able to copy and paste, and then just copy and paste the GPS coordinates. You can also share them with friends that way if they, for some crazy reason, don't have Onyx, which is very foolish. Everyone should have Onyx.
I have no friends that don't have Onyx.
Everyone should have Onyx. Yeah, I don't know how we ever lived without it.
I don't
now
either.
That we do, but really handy. So cool stuff.
That is.
You can also share waypoints in folders and groups now, which is something new that I didn't know you can do.
What?
So if I wanted to talk to, like, if we were going to go hunting together, and I said, all right, Courtney, here's the parking lot, here's the cabin, here's the trailhead, here's these 3 places I've spotted grouse before. I can clump those all together into a folder and share them with you in one drop.
Oh, wow.
As opposed to individual pin sharing, which helps a lot when you're collaborating with friends.
Yeah.
So, lots of cool things. I feel grateful for having an insider in the home to help me with my Onyx struggles.
Gosh, so him and Ben talked to us on the 24th.
Yes.
So, oh gosh, I'm going to have to make sure that they show me how to do that. That would be really helpful.
Yeah, it's really handy.
Okay.
Really, really good stuff.
Cool. Well, thank you, Rachel.
Yes, thanks, Courtney, for having me.
This has been
super fun.
It is super fun. I love spending time with you.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Bird Dog Babe podcast. Be sure to check out the sponsors of this podcast, Purina Pro Plan, Bosch Shotshells, Onyx Hunt, and partners Siren Shotguns and Dakota 283. And don't forget to support the conservation organizations of the birds that you chase after and the public lands in which you hunt.